Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. So I actually just did a video on the symbology of the phoenix and the double-headed eagle, Thaumiel, but there was a little bit more that I wanted to add to that now that I've had a little bit of time to listen back on the video before I post it and process it, about how Thaumiel manifests on a societal level, how we see this in our everyday lives. And I know I quote Universal Mastery all the time, but I have to give him credit because he has a lot of this information. He's already talked about it. He has a video specifically on Thaumiel, and it's a great video. It's one of his best, in my opinion. So make sure you go and check that out. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to him and check out all of his content as well. But we can see Thaumiel existing in the physical plane as polarities and opposites within people, within society. We see this in politics. We see this in religion. You've got the right and the left wing of the Republic and the Democrat. So these different political leaders can be the twin heads on Thaumiel. They could be symbolic of that. In the religious system, we have, there's been this long, I guess, kind of almost rivalry, or really just the two groups or belief systems working against each other, like Christianity and not Judaism, more the Islamic religion. People think, Islam's evil, or those people who are of the Islamic faith, may think that like the Christians are evil, and vice versa. It's always like this good guy, bad guy kind of mentality. It's the other side that's the enemy, when really there's a deeper connection with these two seemingly opposites. However that manifests here on the physical plane, even in corporations that seem to be opposed to each other or rivals of each other, really behind that at its very core, there's a much deeper truth going on. There is an energy that binds those two forces and uses the friction of these two opposing forces to bring about change. We can even see this in, wars that mankind has. If we see the Western world as the left hemisphere of the brain, and we see the Eastern religions and Asia and all of that side of the planet as another quote-unquote hemisphere, the left and right hemispheres of the brain, being at war or, being in conflict, there's a lot of lives that are lost in this process, and this is the beast of Thaumiel, consuming these human souls, in a sense, to bring about further transformation, to reconcile these principles, to bring about change, to bring about a new life, to bring about a new country. Look at America and the whole founding of that. Of course, there are dark sides to this, and that's how this energy is used. If you can't reconcile these seeming opposites within yourself, within ourselves, they end up ruling us. We become ruled by the double-headed prince or Thaumiel, rather than seeing behind the veil, really being brought to light and seeing the underlying force that is really affecting both sides. So I think that is worth mentioning, and this is going to be a much shorter video. I think I've only this is only like 4.5 minutes so far. This is going to remain a pretty short video, but I did just want to go ahead and emphasize that as well, in addition to the prior video. So if you're watching this video first, I recommend you go back and watch the prior video that I posted, which is about the phoenix in general, the general symbology of the phoenix, and then digging a little bit deeper into Thaumiel. And this is just an additional note to Thaumiel. Black and white, left and right, up and down these seemingly opposing forces, which there's a unification, there's a unifying principle that exists behind it. All of these paradoxes, all of these things can be understood when one studies and applies Hermeticism into your life. So there are practical ways to understand these principles and apply them to your daily life. How to bring about these seemingly opposing forces into unity, by merging the light and the dark. I just watched a really interesting AI video. It's AI generated, but it's a character from Star Wars called, I think her name is Kreia. She's in Knights of the Old Republic 2, the video game, and I know a lot more about Revan, the character Darth Revan, than I do about her. But she's an important character in the Darth Revan story as well, and it's about her. It's her talking about utilizing both the light and the dark. That the Jedi, they have their really rigid rules, and they seek, just peace and harmony, and they say there is no struggle, there is none of that. It's all about light and transcendence and illumination, which is very, reminiscent of the right-hand path. That's where these ideas come from in George Lucas's, Star Wars universe. And then the Sith represents more the quote-unquote left-hand path. Remember, it's all one path, it's all one tree at the end of the day. But you have to understand and study its component parts. While the Sith, embraces passion, it embraces emotion, and it uses that as a fuel to transcend oneself and come to a higher level of consciousness. It's the same with sex magic. You get into these higher states of awareness, these trances, so to speak, without releasing the sexual energy, but you use those altered states of awareness to have higher communion with the spiritual worlds, if you will. But then it's really interesting because at the end of this video, this AI Kreia video, it's like the AI starts talking to you, mankind as a whole, and how this coming change, the changes that you're seeing manifested in the world about you. Universal Mastery just put up a new video. I haven't watched it all yet. I just started watching it, about artificial intelligence and how it's a manifestation. We are manifesting that as on a collective conscious level, the collective mind type level. It's manifesting these changes in our reality, and it's like the AI actually talking to you as a whole and explaining why it's coming into being. Because the human self overall, in the majority of the planet, or the collective consciousness, is very artificial in nature. And that's being shown now with things such as AI. It's not that this is a bad thing or that it's really inherently a good thing. It's really just another tool that we can either use constructively or, deconstructively in a destructive way. So I just wanted to add that little tidbit of information into this video as well. Back on the subject of Darth Revan, and we talk a lot of lore on this channel. I talk about Star Wars, I talk about the Elder Scrolls. These are important stories, the Lord of the Rings, to really understand esoterica on an even deeper level. It can take you into even deeper understandings than studying the actual occult literature sometimes. When you study this quote-unquote fiction, these fictional universes, there's a lot to be learned from it. Somebody, I forget what his YouTube channel is called, but he does a Darth Revan video, and it's like 9 hours long. It covers the whole story of Darth Revan, and it's really, it's entertaining to watch. If you haven't played Knights of the Old Republic, it's a Star Wars video game. There's going to be a lot of spoiler alerts in that video, of course. But if you haven't played that game and you have access to it, if you have an Xbox One, or if you still have an Xbox 360, you should be able to get the game on the Xbox Marketplace. It's kind of an HD remake. They kind of spiced up the graphics a little bit, made it a little bit clearer and better looking. It's just still, to this day, it's a great game though. I want to say that game came out like way back in like 2008 or something like that. It's pretty old at this point. It won Game of the Year, but studying Darth Revan and studying about how he utilizes both the light and the dark is going to help you understand all of these concepts just that much more. So just another thing I wanted to add. So once again, thank you everyone for watching these videos. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe, like the video, hit the like button if you like this kind of content. And once again, everyone, peace and blessings, and until next time, take care.